Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 68 of the Latter-day Lives podcast. My name is Sean Rapier. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. Before we jump into the show, I just want to remind everybody, in an effort to get the word out to as many people as possible, we do have a YouTube page. Most people check out the show through podcast, which is fantastic. Of course, we're going to continue that on whatever podcast app you use. But in order to get to know our guests better, we do shoot video now every chance we get. Not always, but we post it live on Facebook. But if you want to see back episodes, I think we've got 8 or 9, maybe more. I don't know, somewhere around there on our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and you search Latter-day Lives, those episodes are there, and you can actually see our guests being interviewed. It's kind of fun, so be sure to go check that out. This week in the conversation, wow, Yahosh Bonner, what a talented guy. Rising star in the pop music world and comes from an incredible musical background. We're going to talk about all of that. I love Yahosh. Humble, talented, just amazing guy. And this week in my Latter-day Life, I'll give you some thoughts, some observations I had in sacrament meeting this week. It's all coming up, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's conversation. And what a privilege it is to have a star in the Latter-day Lives studio today, a bona fide, genuine star, Yahosh Bonner. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm blessed. Thanks for having me.
I am so grateful to have you. So this is, first of all, this is like a long time in the making. We started talking about connecting, more than not more than a year ago, probably close to a year ago.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to make it work, but we bumped into each other twice. This is God making this happen, right?
Absolutely.
We bumped into each other, Jane and Emma, at the premiere, which your family was very involved with.
Right.
So we'll talk about that in a bit. And then more recently, an event supporting Haiti, which you sang at, and I got to sit and just enjoy your singing. We have so much to talk about.
You gave me the best introduction that I have ever received. I hope somebody caught that on tape. I was wondering if you're going to do that again today. I'm glad you didn't, because I don't know.
I'll give you the same introduction. Here's the intro. This is the same intro that I gave Yahosh the other night. There are amazing. Let me see. There are amazing musical families over the history of time. You've got the Osmonds. You've got the Jets. You've got the Jacksons. You've got the Bee Gees. But forget about all of them. The biggest rising stars now are the Bonners, and we have the brightest shining star of all of them. Yahosh Bonner.
Yes. You hear that, Bonner siblings? It's me.
You are the bright shining star, Yahosh.
That is so good. That is so funny.
That was the intro. I just kind of made that all up as I was up there.
You smashed it. You killed it. I was like, you talking about me? Do I need to go up there?
But then you got up and you sang and blew us all away on such a lousy sound system. Fortunately, I was sitting right at the front table, so I got to hear you nice and close. But before we get into all of your talents and the amazing Bonner family and everything else, actually, let's start with the Bonner family. Tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Okay, so I'm originally from Las Vegas. That's where I was born. That's where most of my siblings were born. My oldest sister was born actually in Liberia. Africa, where my parents were serving a Baptist mission. They were Baptist missionaries.
So your parents were Baptist missionaries. How did your parents end up finding the gospel?
So they've always loved God, always believed in Christ, and
clearly,
So
Baptist missionaries,
right. So they're very spiritual and led by the Spirit in the things that they do, and they were led spiritually to move west to Las Vegas, not knowing anybody.
Really?
And, ultimately my dad ran into some missionaries, and it was a hard time for my parents, and he saw some guys in suits and was like, hey, what do you guys do for a living, And they're like, oh, we're missionaries. And my dad let them know, oh, I was a missionary too. And they got talking, and the missionaries, well, we'd like to introduce you to our bishop, and he was like, okay, great, because he's looking for work, and maybe it might be something in the church or something else. So that was his introduction to missionaries and to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which that bishop actually, I think it was the bishop's family, took in my parents and the 2 kids that my parents had at that time into their home, and they began taking lessons and going to church. And, it was a process. My mom was like, man, this congregation got a lot of white people. I'm not sure if I want to be in there. But they couldn't deny the Spirit, and that is what, the Spirit told them, that this is the church that they needed to
that is so
and that's
awesome.
just a very short, condensed version. You'll have to have them in here sometime. They could tell it a lot.
Well, tell us where you're currently living.
So I currently live in Spanish Fork, Utah.
Yeah, and if there were a lot of white people at church in Las Vegas, go to Spanish Fork.
Well, actually, my ward's pretty diverse in Spanish.
Oh, is it really?
I was really surprised.
That's
when we
awesome.
Moved in there. We got Brazilian family.
That's great.
Where the dad is black, the mother is not, but they're both from Brazil. And then we have several biracial families where the mom is white and their children are
awesome.
African American.
And that was me being horribly stereotypical about Spanish Fork.
Spanish Fork represents
because Spanish Fork is no. Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So they joined the church. Now, going back a little bit, your mom, whom I've also had the pleasure of hearing sing and hearing her choir work, have you always been a musical family?
We have, a good portion of my life. Well, for most of my life, I can just remember my mom always teaching voice lessons. And I remember Sundays being really long because we would not only go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we'd also go to the Baptist church, and then there's another church. And
did you really?
We'd be in their choirs. My mom would teach their choirs. So Sundays
awesome.
were a lot of fun, but really long, But I've always just remembered, my mother involving us in everything that she could. She'd have voice classes where this is where like we lived off her teaching voice.
Yeah, your mom is a very well-respected vocal coach,
Thank
like
you.
one of the top in the country. I mean, she is, I was reading some of her bio. She has been a voice coach for some of the top American Idol contestants and some of the just top singers around the country.
Right.
She really knows what she's doing.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. Absolutely.
How many siblings are there total?
There's 8 of us.
Yeah.
There's 8 of us, 4 boys, 4 girls.
Yeah.
Nolang, Younger, Harry Jr., also known as Mally Jr., I'm sorry. Clotilde, myself, my younger brother Conlon, my sister Oyeyo, and then Oba.
Yeah.
Baby brother. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it Oba who goes by Junior?
No, it's Mally Jr.
Mally is Junior. Okay. Because I met Junior the other night, too.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's just awesome.
Yeah.
So you got this big family. You're growing up. You've got this incredibly beautiful name, Yahosh.
Thank you.
Which is such a cool name. How was it first day of school? Every year.
Man, every year.
Did any
day,
teacher
first
ever
week.
nail it? Did any teacher ever say Yahosh and get it right?
So my middle name is actually Yehoshua.
Oh, okay.
So it's short for Yahosh, and my first name is Kuregi. So nobody got that right either. So
yeah, Kuregi is not easier than Yahosh.
Yeah, Kuregi Yehoshua.
Oh, that is so cool.
But
no, it's a beautiful name.
I don't ever remember anybody getting it, nailing it first try.
So tell us a little bit about your home growing up. What was it like in the Bonner home growing up?
Well, there's a lot of us. It was a lot of fun. We were always playing games, always, competing. So we would have singing contests. We'd have dance contests. We'd have acting contests. Me and my brothers, we'd always go play basketball or football, swimming. We were always doing something, and it was a lot of fun. And we were close because we moved around a lot. It seemed like we were always moving from place to place.
What caused all the moving?
My parents wanted to give all of us like the best opportunity scholastically and things like that. So we lived in an area in Las Vegas where my 3 oldest brothers and sisters, my 2 oldest sisters and my older brother were able to go to a private school, and then we moved to I remember us moving to Utah because the house where we were living in Las Vegas wasn't, some of the places weren't the greatest areas to raise a family,
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was in high school, we moved to Arizona because they felt like I would have better exposure for my athletics because I'm a basketball guy. That's my sport is basketball. I played junior high, high school, college, tried out for some pro teams, some overseas pro teams, and then I've coached, for the majority of ever since I got out of college. And
Are you coaching now?
No, actually, I this is my first year not coaching out of college.
Taking a break.
I'm an athletic director.
Yeah.
So I fill in and coach when the coaches need me. But
how do you like being an athletic director compared to coaching?
I love it because I love the youth. I love being able to interact and have those relationships, and to share my testimony with them, through what I've done, how I've lived. And it's nice because I don't just have access to the basketball team. Now I have access to all the youth, and I get to have, nurture friendships and relationships with them. So
it's awesome. And you played through high school. You played in college, like you said. You served a mission?
I did. I served in Tampa, Florida.
I love Tampa.
I've
spent a lot of time in Tampa.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Tampa, St. Pete.
St. Pete.
Area.
Yeah, I served in that area, St. Petersburg too. Yeah,
I love it out there. I used to have a customer out there. I'd go out there once a month. So.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful area.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cool people.
Sure.
So when did the true love of singing come up? When did that start? Was it just a given, hey, you're a Bonner, you're going to sing, or did you discover a passion for yourself?
That's interesting. I think we've all loved it, but there were times where it was like, Mom was like, putting on this production, let's go. We got to do this, and so sometimes there'd be some attitudes, but for the most part, we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, especially because I was one of the less. I mean, my brothers and sisters, they're blessed. Their musical talents are, I think, far beyond mine.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But I have a great passion for it because it's kind of like a greenie fire. I really started publicly performing on my own in my adult life, before with the family, like every once in a while I would get a solo, and that's because I would be crying and I'd be, Mom, Junior got the solo last time, Clotilde got it, and so every once in a while they would give in and let me have a solo. So I'm just excited about music.
Yeah.
So I do it probably more often publicly than some of my brothers and sisters, but they've been doing it forever. Like, it's not new to them. For me, I feel a newness for it. So
what was the first thing that you put out there yourself as, this is, okay, stepping away from the Bonner family? What was the first Yahosh Bonner thing? What was it? Was it a video? Was it a song? What was the first thing?
It's interesting. So I was coaching. I was at Southern Utah University. I was a grad assistant there, and then I got a job at American Leadership Academy to be a coach. And my parents lived in Provo, and my mom was called to be the director of the Genesis Group Gospel Choir.
Yeah.
And
tell us really quickly about that, because that's an amazing project, and I don't want to. We could talk for an hour about the whole Genesis Group and everything else, but really give us a quick overview as to what that is.
So the Genesis Group, it's like a family, and it's something. It's a group that meets. It's like a fireside, meets once a month, and it's the first of every month. The first Sunday of every month. Yeah. And where, a lot of African Americans, new converts, anybody can come, but it's really a worship that is conducive to my culture as being a black man, praising, hallelujah, amen, clapping, gospel music is there.
It's real gospel music.
It's real gospel music, and we love it. And that's what I love about it, is that you can be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but you don't have to change who you are, your culture. Whatever your culture is, bring that. Bring it and enrich the lives of the people that are around you. And that's what we do at Genesis, is we praise and we accept everybody, and it's just
so awesome.
It's really great.
So I derailed you a little bit, but I wanted to get the Genesis story out there, because
they have a gospel choir. My mom was directing it, and I was like, oh, cool. It's like when I was a kid again. I'll go sing in my mom's gospel choir. So, joined it and was singing, and my mom's the choir director, so I got a couple solos, and I was liking it. You
didn't even have to cry. You didn't even have to cry.
Didn't have to cry. All my brothers and sisters live in California and Atlanta, So
that's so great.
I was doing that, and James Curran came to Genesis, and a friend of ours introduced us, because he's a rapper, James the Mormon, as most people know James the Mormon. Yeah. And he saw me sing there and said, hey, I want you guys to meet. This is my friend Yahosh, my friend James. I want you guys to meet. He's like, oh yeah, you're a good singer. Send me some of your stuff. Maybe we can get together and do something. I was like, cool, because that week I had just seen his music video about the restoration, and about it was just really cool. It was like a mainstream thing, but if you're LDS, you knew what he was talking about. Right, so it was like, whoa, this is cool. This guy's, I love what he's doing. And so I sent him a song that I recorded for fun with my older brother, and he was like, awesome. Let's do a song. And so that same week I went in and I recorded this song called Dreamin', and it was a tribute song to BYU football.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you heard it. Just keep dreaming.
Oh, yes, for sure. I've been listening to everything. It's awesome.
So we recorded the song. It was like on a Tuesday. Shot the video on Wednesday and like released it on Thursday. Like it was boom, boom, boom.
Bam.
And I was just like, whoa, I'd never done a music video before. I never like recorded to put something out, you know, with like a professional artist, you know. And so I did it and I just loved it. And I was like, whoa.
And it went huge.
It did really well.
Yeah,
it did really well. It did really well. And so I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to keep doing this, especially because after I graduated college, I coached community college for 3 years, and then I was a grad assistant at Southern Utah. And as a college coach, you don't have very much time. Not to mention you're using your voice a lot. And so I never fully had my voice. Now that I was a high school teacher and coach, I had more time. I had my weekends, you know, and I wasn't there all day. I wasn't monitoring kids all day. It was just, I was there at school and then I was at home. And so I had an opportunity to really jump into music, and I haven't jumped out since.
You have not jumped out since. In fact, I'm just going to say it is almost hard to find a video on YouTube that does not say featuring Yahosh Bonner. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, you are featured. Like, you are the voice. I mean, when I was doing homework, and I want to ask a little bit about a few of these songs that you've done. Mm-hmm. But first of all, before I ask, because one of the people you've sung with, tell us who Vanessa is.
Vanessa, she's my favorite singing partner. Yeah, Vanessa's my wife. She's my wife, and we met at when I played a year at Salt Lake Community College. We met at a student congregation there, and just hit it off. You know, I've loved her ever since, and it'll be our 10-year anniversary this June.
So awesome.
You know, so we've sung a couple songs together, but we did one video called Remember Home.
Remember Home.
And it originally sung by Sebastian Cole and Alicia Cara, but I loved it because it was just, I heard the song and I was like, this is us. This is our life. Like, I remember home. Like, we are trying to get back to our Father in heaven and to be reunited with all our loved ones and those who the world would say are lost ones, but they're not lost, not unto God, you know. And so the song really talked about, you know, just remembering home and coming back together. And I just, me and my wife sang it together, and I was so happy that she would do that, because it's not something that she normally does. You know, she's into, you know, beauty products and hair, and she works at a hospital, and so to do a music video and record in the studio with me, it's pretty special.
And our listeners can check that out on YouTube, and it is special. It is such a beautiful video.
Oh, thank you.
And your love comes across.
Oh,
and
good.
I've gotten to hang out with both of you together and seeing your beautiful wife and you guys together. It's just awesome.
Thank you.
And round this section out by telling us about your family.
So,
about your own kids.
My kids. I have 3 kids. My oldest son is 8, Malachi. And then my daughter is Samaya, and she is 4. And then I have a 2-year-old named Nehemiah.
Isn't that awesome?
And they're great. 2 boys and a girl, and they're a lot of fun.
Have any of them shown interest in singing yet?
Yes, my middle child, Samaya, and Nehemiah, they sing all the time. They especially love the song that their uncle Junior, Mally Jr. wrote, Child of God. So they're always singing, I am a child of God. And they sing it in parts. They sing it harmonized with you. I was like, what? When did you guys learn those parts? Yeah, and then my oldest son, Malachi, he can sing, but whenever we catch him, he's like, nope.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want.
Doesn't
he wants
own
nothing to do with it. You and I have 3 major things in common, but then a few areas we diverge. We're both married to wonderful Vanessas, which is incredible. We're both huge music fans, and other than music, basketball is everything to me. That's all there is in my life.
Yeah.
I watch the NBA a good 4 hours a night this time of year.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The difference is you can play and you can sing. I can't do either of those things. So.
Well, I would say, I could play, but I played last night at an alumni game at Salt Lake Community College, and I feel it everywhere. I feel it. And I watched some of the clips that my wife took, and I'm like, didn't look like I was doing much. But man.
So a year ago, we were very fortunate to have sitting in that exact same seat, almost exactly a year ago, We had a wonderful young lady by the name of Bree Ray.
Bree Ray, yes.
So talented.
My sister in Christ right there, man. She's phenomenal.
She is awesome. She is so
And I'm not even talking about her talent. Just who she is.
Just
yeah.
her.
She's vibrant and she's great.
She walked out of there and I just went, world, look out. I mean, forget it. This girl's going to do whatever she decides she's going to do.
Yes.
You did a project with her and a few other artists.
Yes.
That was a cover of This Is Me. Tell us how that came together.
That's one thing I love about doing music is that I choose who I collaborate with, and I'm like, my friends, let me get with my friends. I want to sing with my friends, and I want to produce something great, not just to get views or anything, but just to have a great product. So This Is Me, The Greatest Showman. I am still so inspired by that movie. I'm so inspired by that music. And so what we did is we wanted to release it during Black History Month, February.
Yeah.
And just to really highlight, Black excellence and their contributions to America. And so I grabbed a couple of my friends, Kurt Banks, who, we were roommates in college. Me and his brother played college basketball together. I got Rashida Jordan Call, and she's just fantastic. Been close to my family forever. Former student of my mom's, Daisha Lassiter, one of the greatest voices I've ever heard. She was in my mom's gospel choir. My sister, who can just do whatever she wants, musically, acting, and then Bree Ray and Jalen Macedoni, and all people that I knew and were friends with, and all African American Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
So we're one in our beliefs and what we wanted to do, and we weren't able to get it out in February, but we released it on the anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
awesome.
So in the video, you'll see pieces of him talking and speaking, and what an inspiration for somebody to know of the danger, but to have a desire for change, and to not change what he believed or who he was for anybody, but to do what he thought was right. And so we kind of dedicated it to that, and it was just awesome. My friend Brady did the video.
It's incredible. The video is so inspiring. And all of you together.
Pretty simple. We're just on this, stage.
You're all there. There's kind of some video in the background, but it is so inspiring.
Thank you.
One of the things that I just love, and you tell me if you feel differently, I feel like we're in this amazing moment where the church is being redefined by saying, stop defining us.
Oh, yeah.
Like saying, you know what, stop telling us what we are. And that's what I love, what you said about the Genesis group and what they're doing. When I see your mom's work with her choir, when I see films being made like Jane and Emma and like the project your brother's doing that we're going to talk about in a minute, this whole thing of here's the cookie cutter, this is what a member of the church is being absolutely blown away. Absolutely, and I feel like you and Bree, for the African-American saints, have a special message. How does that feel? I mean, where does that come from, and what do you feel? Because I see that theme in a lot of what you do, as you mentioned.
Thank you. Well, gosh, I mean, me and Bree, we love who we are. And who we are is made up of our beliefs and our culture. Yeah. Our ethnicity, and we love it all. Yeah. And our gospel, the Lord's gospel, is for everybody. It's for everybody. It doesn't matter where you're from, where you come from, what you look like. And it's a gospel of inclusion. And the world and the adversary would have us look at things that separate us. What makes us different? That should be, whatever makes us different should separate us, The other night, me and my wife were in Cafe Rio. Shout out to Cafe Rio. And we saw, some police officers, and I thought, man, this is weird, because I love the police. One of my favorite cousins is a policeman, but there's like a weird wall there. Yeah. Because the media will say, you can't be black and love black people and love police. You can't be a policeman and love black people. That's how the world would say. And it's like, what? That's not right. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see people's reaction when they say, wait, you're LDS? You're black? Well, yeah. Yeah, my whole family. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once a month I go to almost a half black congregation. Like there's nothing that says that I can't be, black in LDS, and that doesn't make me a better person, because it does.
Yeah.
And this gospel of Jesus Christ will make everybody better, happier, and live more fulfilled lives. And so I'm hoping that people will listen to my music, because I don't just sing music just to sing music. Most of what I put out there is because I believe in its message, and because it means something to me. And I'm grateful for people who are artists that do that. People like Alex Boye, who every time I see him perform and sing, he just inspires me.
Incredible.
And he's real, and he believes what he's talking about, and obviously he does his mainstream and things for fun, but man, he's just such a great example of, hey, this is me. I'm not following anybody else's pattern. This is who I am. This is what I love. And, come check it out.
I love it. And I love that we live in an era too. I think when I was I'm quite a bit older than you are, but when I was a little bit younger, it was sort of like, let's not talk about the church's history. Let's pretend like that. Maybe let's pretend the church has kind of existed from 1980 on, like let's not talk about it. And now we're in this age where the book, The Saints, has come out. Jane and Emma has come out. This project that we're about to talk about with your brother that's coming, these stories are coming out, and we're saying it's okay. There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide from. There have been good and bad.
Absolutely.
And the gospel is true. And now we are I don't want to say our generation, us who live on the earth today, we're going to define what the church is. And it's so inspiring to me. It's awesome. And this leads me to a project that you're working on very closely now. Let's talk about the new project, which should have a Kickstarter up any time.
Yes.
Tell us about the project that you're working on.
So my brother, Mattie Jr., who did the soundtrack and for Jane and Emma, which was about an African-American free woman who was a pioneer, who a lot of people didn't know about.
No, and we had the director on 3 weeks ago.
Chantel. She's awesome.
Oh, gosh.
She's amazing. Shout out to Chantel.
She's incredible. And by the way, if you have not seen Jane and Emma yet, find a way. It's going to be coming out on video before too long, but find a way to see that movie. Yeah. It's incredible.
So
Junior worked on that.
So Junior worked on that, and he also wrote a script and screenplay.
Yeah, screenplay. Yeah.
For another African American saint hero that came over and who trailblazed the path for the saints to come and make it to Utah. It's like, and it's Green Flake.
Yeah,
his name is Green Flake, and it's amazing. He was a slave, and a member of the church, and it talks about his struggle but also his contributions and his faith that he had to do the things that he did for the church. And for me, I was so empowered. Like, wait a minute. There were other Black Latter-day Saints that were pioneers. Whenever we had like Pioneer Day and things like that, I felt no connection because I didn't know that there were any pioneers that looked like me, that shared my same heritage. And to know that, man, they went through all this and their faith was so strong to persevere through the imperfections of men and to make the contributions that they did, it just empowers me and it makes me so grateful. And their stories need to be told. And so my brother wrote this amazing script that it's just, and we'll be filming. We're going to be filming, soon. And it's really exciting. If you like the music in Jane and Emma, you're going to love it for Green Flake, And so,
I had to go do a little bit of homework on Green Flake. And when I read Green Flake's story, I was left with my jaw on the ground with my thought being, how on earth
how did we not know this?
Heard this story?
Oh my
I mean, there are ties to Brigham Young. There are ties to the pioneers. I sat there. I got done reading it, going, I felt like screaming from the rooftops, "Hey, world, where has this story been?" So I think it's just awesome, and you're going to be well involved in that.
Yep.
Your family seems to just sort of be this, like I said at the beginning, there are families, but it if I had to associate any of them, it's more like the Partridge Family,
Oh,
like
wow.
your
That's
family,
funny.
family, you know, like you
Yeah.
guys seem to get involved a lot. Like you said, you
Yeah.
did this, the song with your sister,
Mhm.
you were there, and you're doing this stuff with your brother and your mom. By the way, gosh, so many projects to touch on. Tell us about your mom's choir.
So yes, my mom, it's the Deborah Bonner Unity Gospel Choir. Now, formerly known as the Genesis Choir, but it's the Deborah Bonner Unity Gospel Choir.
Oh, I didn't realize that was what it had been. And that, okay.
So the Genesis group is like an official auxiliary of the church.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, that group all kind of functions as a ward. There's callings and we do activities. And so with it being like that church choir, according to the rules, we couldn't travel and do firesides at different places.
Right.
So they released us so that we could do that. We go to Vegas. We can go to San Antonio, Texas, and sing at the NAACP. Man, it was
that is amazing.
So
did you go with that?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I went. Oh, it was. I've never been so proud to be a black member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
This was the meeting. How long ago was this?
This was just the summer.
Yeah,
just the summer.
And the church leaders were invited by the NAACP to go meet there.
And to speak at the convention.
convention.
And then our gospel choir sang,
That's so
and
unbelievable. Cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing what music can do to bring people together and what the gospel can do. So yeah, my mom's doing.
What was the reaction
fantastic.
of the NAACP there?
They loved it. They loved it, ate it up. Thanks for coming. I mean, we were all there together. We're all a part, So it was a real oneness. It was funny. One of the speakers got up and was like, at first when they talked about a partnership with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I questioned for a minute. But once I went to Salt Lake and met with those men, I knew this is exactly what we needed to do. And it was like, man,
that makes me want to cry.
What a testament, So.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see the things that my mom's doing with the choir.
So the choir is now touring.
They
do various events.
Absolutely.
I got to see them perform. I got to go to one of the premieres of Jane and Emma, which is where we saw each other. And got to see them sing. It's unbelievable. Why do you think it is? We go to sacrament meeting, and I've been very fortunate and very blessed to have a pretty diverse group of friends. I travel a lot. I've been to a lot of revivalist churches, a lot of, born again Christian churches, Pentecostal, where, wow.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is? And I'm not talking about the sacrament hymn, because I think the sacrament hymn is really different. But why is it that, like, around Christmas, we sing Joy to the World in sacrament meeting, and we go, Joy to the world.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
It's a cultural thing. And it's something that's changing, Someone clapped in church the other day and I was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll go with you, I mean, it's a cultural thing. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's just the way that things have been done.
Wrong. It's a little bit wrong. Like to sing the words "Joy to the World" without any joy in your soul whatsoever.
Yep.
It's not ideal, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, you should hear the choir's rendition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to sing it November 30th, I believe. Oh, my gosh. 29th or 30th. I think it's November 30th at the UCCU Center. They do a yearly gospel choir concert, Christmas, and awesome. and tying it to Light the World, campaign of the church. So it'll be pretty sweet. They're doing your traditional Christmas hymns in a non-traditional way.
So, we've got to go check that out.
Yeah.
We'll put up more about that on our Facebook page.
Yeah, please do.
That's fantastic. I want to talk about one more artist that you have worked with. Tell us a little bit about working with Mattie Wilson.
Mattie Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh, Mattie. Oh, man. She's cool. She's cool.
A star.
She is.
I mean, that's a big name. What did you guys do together?
So we did Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
We released it just a little bit after the movie, or was it a little bit before the live version, and that was really cool. It was fun. A friend of ours who was a videographer, Corey, was like, "Hey, I think you guys would be great in this song together." And I'm like, okay. And so that's when I first met her, and she was just really cool and just laid down her track. I was like, "It's nice to meet you. We'll see you at the video shoot." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." And we did it, and it was just so fun. And she sings with great energy and passion. When she sings, she means every word. You can see in her face; she means every word, and it was really great. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that your styles are so completely different.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
But
It
whoever
worked, right?
Whoever exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is when I first saw that there was even a video, I kind of went, "Really? Yeah."
Shout out to Becky Willard. She recorded us and did the track. She was awesome. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
So what's next for you? What's on the horizon? I
Well,
mean, other
family
than
stuff for sure.
Okay.
Which is great because we grew up singing together, and then we all went our different ways, doing music in different, genres and capacities. So that's great to be able to sing with my family. But then, with my own music, I have a YouTube, and I try to keep that current and put on, some inspirational music, some gospel, some pop, music that I grew up listening to and like. And I'm working on my own EP mini album that my brothers are helping write on, OBA and Mally Jr. So always working on music.
Yeah, no question. That's awesome. And then still inspiring young minds.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember my coaches and the effect that they had on me and the lessons that I've learned from them. I still talk to my coaches and are in touch with some of our athletic directors, and they've just been great people, great men in my life, and I hope to be that for somebody. Hopefully I've been that.
That's awesome.
It's a blessing.
And if people want to follow you, the best way is probably your YouTube page.
YouTube,
You put out quite
Instagram.
a bit you put out quite a bit on YouTube and on Instagram. They can see awesome pictures of your beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a pleasure. We're up against a little bit of a time crunch today, and I so appreciate you coming in and taking the time. We're going to wrap things up the same way that we wrap up all of our interviews, but a little bit differently. And normally at the end of every interview, in fact, at the end of every interview we've ever done, I ask someone what being a member of the church means to them. And we get a lot of cool answers from that. I don't want to ask you that question. It's the first time ever, like seriously, in almost 70 episodes, because you and I talked at the beginning. I am, first of all, if you ever start a Yahosh fan club, I'm first in line. Like, I am such a mega fan of your voice.
The man, Sean.
Dude, your voice,
man.
I'm not kidding. Like, it is just so soothing to my soul. I'm a big fan. And so I asked you before we started recording, I'll just be open with our audience, if you wouldn't mind singing something and blessing my home with your amazing voice. We talked about a couple of options, but I'm going to rather than telling us what being a member of the church means to you, I'll let you share that with your voice if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
We'll kind of wrap things up that way.
Everything to glorify God, for sure.
I love it.
For sure. Okay, I'll sing a little bit of a song that, I grew up on, a Daryl Cooley song, and talks about how the Lord is, our strength. No matter what we're going through, we can find peace and strength and refuge in Him. The Lord is my strength when I'm weak and worn. He is my refuge from the storm. In Him there's peace, joy that will never cease, and I love Him so. He is the mighty one who has called me to serve Him daily. I'll follow Him. He is my Savior, now and forever. He gave His life so I might live. He is my strength when I'm weak and worn. He is my refuge. Oh, in Him there's peace, joy that will never cease. And I love Him so, 'cause He loves me so. I sing these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Yahosh, you are an incredible singer, an amazing athlete, great father, husband, and such an inspiration to so many of us. Thank you for sharing your Latter-day life with us. Appreciate it. My thanks to Yahosh. What a great guy. That's a guy who just everyone I know loves him because I'm sure it came through in the interview. He is just not only so talented, but just genuinely, you will not find a better, nicer man than Yahosh. Thank you so much, Yahosh, for joining us. This week in my Latter-day Life, we had kind of a special sacrament meeting this week. As I've mentioned on the show before, we're down to 2 teenagers. I've got next week he'll be 15 and a 16-year-old, and that is it. That's all we've got left at home of our 7 children. The rest have moved out. Well, this week, one of the neighborhood boys, one of my 20-year-old son's best friends, came home from his mission. And so my 20-year-old came home. He lives down in Cedar City now. He came home for the homecoming, and then my 2 daughters, Krista and Chloe, came home from Orem. They only live 10 minutes away, but they wanted to come see him speak in sacrament meeting. And so as we were in sacrament meeting, there I was with 5 of my 7 children. And they were so grown up, all of them over 18 now, other than the 2 boys that are at home. And I was sitting there and kind of watching them and just smiling about how fun it is having grown and older children. And I looked 3 rows ahead of us was another family who we've known 20 years now, an incredible family. And I taught some of their kids, and there was the mother and father, and they were empty nesters, and they were just sitting there by themselves. And I thought, how funny, sometimes their kids come home and visit, but they're down to no kids at home. And it was just the 2 of them sitting, enjoying a peaceful sacrament meeting. And then I looked over to my right, and there was a young married couple, no kids at all. And they were kind of in the same camp as the empty nesters were. They were just sitting there quietly enjoying sacrament meeting. And then 2 rows in front of us is a family in our ward that I adore. I just love them so much. Cutest kids. All their kids are under 7 years old. They've got a couple of toddlers. And I watched them, and there were toys, and there were books, and there were things of Cheerios, and there were juice cups, and there were kids crawling all over, and mom and dad were playing tag team with the kids, picking up this one, setting down this one. And as I watched them, I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, that's what that was like. And it was such a different time from where I am now. But I remember sometimes just counting down the minutes. And sacrament meeting seemed like it was about 5 hours long. And as I sat and watched this family, I got really emotional. And tears actually welled up in my eyes because I was so grateful for them setting the example for their kids. And I kind of missed it, just a little bit. I don't know that I want to go back to that every week. But someday I'm going to be the empty nester. And someday that young married couple will probably shift over to where this couple was with kids. And this family with kids will someday be where I'm sitting with teenagers. And one day my kids will be there with their own kids. And as it cycled through time, I was so grateful for the constancy of sacrament meeting and for the learning that we do. But I was also just grateful for this time in life and for each era and how hard it is sometimes. Sometimes it's hard being in the era I'm in now, having some older kids that we're trying to take care of and teenagers. And I remember how hard it was with these little toddlers. But these things all pass, and eventually I'll pass too. And I won't be sitting there in sacrament meeting, and it'll be on to the next generation. But as I sat there, I just was very grateful. Grateful for the times I had with those little kids, and grateful for my big grown-up kids who are still willing to sit there with their dad. And I'm grateful for sacrament meeting. What a special time it is for all of us to come together. And that's what's happening this week in my Latter-day Life. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and every week. If I could ask you one big favor, if you can think of someone in your ward, your neighborhood, someone who might enjoy these conversations, maybe someone who's struggling, who could use an uplifting word, because these guests I have, I know they uplift me every single week. And if they could use the podcast, we continue to grow, but we still want to reach an even bigger audience if we can. Share the YouTube page or the podcast, maybe teach them how to use a podcast. That happens a lot. I have to show people how to access a podcast. But if you could share it with us, we'd appreciate it. And to get the word out even more, if you get a chance and could leave us a review, Boy, we've had some more fantastic reviews coming up, especially on Apple Podcasts, since that's the biggest podcast directory. That would be helpful. But wherever you listen, if you could review us and share it, we'd appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. It just means the world to us. So until next week, when we have another fantastic guest for you, please remember, as always, there is a great, big, beautiful world out there. So go be in it, just not of it. Thanks for listening.